Ever feel like your computer has like a secret life? Like behind all the cat videos and emails, there's this whole hidden world with its own rules.
I think we've all been there, yeah.
Well, today we are grabbing our digital decoder rings and cracking open the case of operating system security rings. You sent us some seriously interesting stuff on this. Articles, research, even some personal notes. So what's the mission for this deep dive?
Yeah.
To understand how these rings work, why they matter, and how those, the ones trying to stir up trouble,
Yeah.
can use them to, shall we say, borrow a bit of your digital life.
Sounds like an adventure.
It totally is. And I love a good analogy. So picture this. Your computer system is like a high security building.
Right. Okay, I'm picturing it. A digital fortress of sorts.
Exactly. Each security ring is like a floor with increasing levels of access. You spend your time on the ground floor, ring 3. This is where you're browsing, writing emails, doing your everyday digital thing.
But, and this is where things get really interesting, hackers, they see those rings as levels in a video game. Their goal: to escape the confines of that ground floor, your comfy ring 3, and reach the top. The infamous ring 0.
A penthouse suite. Someone's trying to steal the good wifey.
Lasses, more like they're trying to become the building manager. From ring 0, they have complete control. Think installing hidden back doors, disabling security alarms, even locking you out of your own systems.
And that's a party I don't want an invitation to. But how do they even begin their climb?
Think about vulnerabilities in common applications like web browsers. Remember that time Chrome had that security flaw?
Oh, yeah.
It's like finding a loose security panel in our building analogy.
Yeah.
Attackers exploit those weaknesses to escape the sandbox of Ring 3.
So Ring 3 is like a little walled garden designed to keep things contained.
Exactly. It's there to limit the damage a compromised app can cause. But a clever attacker, they see that loose panel as a way to slip past security and start working their way up.
This is already making me want to check my browser for updates. But what about those middle floors? Ring 1 and Ring 2. I read that they're not used as much.
You're right. They're less common and often used for things like drivers, the software that lets your hardware talk to your computer.
Okay, so like the program that allows my printer to understand my desperate pleas to print on time for once.
Precisely. Think of them as specific checkpoints within our building. Not as glamorous as the penthouse, maybe, but just as vulnerable if you know what you're doing. Each checkpoint has its flaws. And attackers, they collect those flaws like prized possessions. Now let's say our attacker has bypassed those middle-level checkpoints, snuck past security on the lower floors, maybe even tampered with the wiring in the stairwell. Their goal: to reach that digital penthouse, Ring 0.
Okay, so they've made it to Ring 0. What chaos can they unleash with that kind of access?
Imagine having the master key card to our high-security building, the one that unlocks every door, every system. That's Ring 0 access. They can install something called rootkits, stealthy programs that bury themselves deep in the system. It's like planting a mole within the building security team itself.
Rootkits. Those sound like more than just a nuisance.
Think of it this way. A rootkit is like a virus that rewrites the doctor's X-ray to look normal. It's incredibly hard to detect because it operates at the core of the system. And from there, they can disable security measures, steal your data, even create hidden back doors for easy access later.
So they're essentially taking over the building's security system and using it against us. That's terrifyingly clever. But hold on, how do they even pull off something like getting to Ring 0 in the first place? It's not as easy as just clicking the wrong link, right?
You're right. It's not that simple. It takes a special kind of skill, a deep understanding of the system's blueprints, if you will. One way is by exploiting flaws in the kernel, the heart of the operating system.
The kernel, that's like the building's control room, right? Where everything important happens.
Exactly. A classic example of this kind of attack is something called a buffer overflow. It's like trying to cram an entire filing cabinet's worth of papers into a small mailbox. The mailbox overflows and the papers spill out everywhere, potentially overwriting important information, even instructions for the building's security system.
So they're basically tricking the system into letting them rewrite the security protocols. I get it. Sneaky and brilliant. But you mentioned even deeper levels than Ring 0. Are we talking about the building's sub-basement now?
We're going full-on matrix here. Below Ring 0 are the hypervisor wings, layers beneath even the operating system. These are like the building's foundation and blueprints.
We're talking deep, deep code here. What goes on in those shadowy depths?
Think of hypervisors as virtual machine managers. They control those virtual environments you might use to run different operating systems side by side. like having a mini building inside your building, each with its own set of rules.
Okay, so like running Windows and Linux at the same time without them realizing the other exists.
Exactly. Now imagine an attacker seizing control of the hypervisor. They could control all those virtual machines, manipulate the very structure of our digital building, and the operating system might not even realize what's happening.
That's playing 4D chess in a world of checkers. Are there any famous examples of these hypervisor attacks?
Absolutely. The blue pill attack is legendary in security circles. Imagine subtly slipping a thin, transparent layer, a new set of blueprints, beneath the existing building, right under everyone's noses.
So the building is running on a whole new set of rules, and no one's the wiser.
Precisely. The blue pill attack works by exploiting vulnerabilities to slip a thin hypervisor layer under the operating system, making it incredibly difficult to detect. It's like building a secret bunker underneath the building and controlling everything from the shadows.
Okay, I think we've wandered into a spy thriller, but I'm following along. We've covered the rings, this digital building, but how do attackers actually climb them? What are their tactics?
Think of it like this. They've got their tools and their plan. Their ultimate goal is privilege escalation. They start with limited access, maybe just a visitor's pass, but they want the keys to the whole building.
So they start with that loose security panel in the lobby and use it to find a security badge, then another, gradually working their way up.
Exactly. They exploit flaws, like a forgotten password on a sticky note or an unlocked door to gain higher and higher privileges. Eventually, they're using the system's own security measures against itself.
Are there any tools they use for this? Some kind of master key or skeleton key?
You could say that. There are tools like Mimikatz, which can extract passwords and other sensitive information directly from a computer's memory.
Okay, that's like having a device that unlocks every door with a quick scan. Yikes. So we've got software flaws, tools like Mimikatz. What about those vulnerable drivers we talked about? The ones on those middle floors, are those fair game too?
Oh, absolutely. Drivers often have higher privileges because they work directly with the system's hardware. Imagine finding a way to tamper with the building's electrical system. That's what compromising a driver is like.
Okay, so if they can get to those drivers, it's like causing a system-wide blackout.
More or less. By exploiting driver vulnerabilities, attackers can potentially execute their code with elevated privileges, bypassing security measures along the way.
So they've bypassed security, overridden the control room,
Right.
maybe even built their secret lair in the building's basement.
Yeah.
What's next? Do they throw a villainous party to celebrate?
Maybe some digital confetti.
Yeah.
But the real goal is to stay hidden
Right.
and maintain their access even if you discover their initial entry point.
So it's not enough to just break in. They want to become permanent residents.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is where that term we mentioned earlier, persistence, comes in.
Right.
Think of it like changing the locks on our building.
Right.
So they can come and go as they please, even if you think you've changed them back.
And how do they achieve that kind of deep-rooted access?
Remember those rootkits?
Yeah.
They're masters of disguise, blending into the system, making them very difficult to remove.
Right.
But there's an even sneakier method. Firmware-level malware.
Firmware.
Yeah.
Rings a bell.
Yeah.
It's like the deep-down
Yeah.
building instructions, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that runs before anything else.
You got it. It's the foundation of the foundation.
Yeah.
The first thing that springs to life when you turn on your computer.
Right.
If an attacker can inject malware at that level,
Yeah.
it's like rewriting the building's original blueprints.
Oh, wow.
Removing it becomes incredibly difficult, sometimes even impossible without specialized tools.
Yeah.
You could bring in a whole new cleaning crew.
Right.
Even renovate the entire building by reinstalling the operating system,
Right.
and it still might not be enough.
Okay, now that's both impressive and utterly terrifying. It's like they've booby-trapped the building's construction plans.
Right.
But how do they stay hidden from security software?
Right.
It's like they're ghosts passing through walls undetected.
Remember our building analogy?
Yeah.
Most security software lives on those upper floors,
Grinding.
Ring 3, just like your everyday applications.
Right.
If an attacker has seized control of Ring 0,
Yeah.
they're essentially running the security system now.
It's like the fox guarding the hen house, but with a security uniform and a key card.
Precisely.
Oh, man.
They can tamper with security logs to erase their tracks, disable real-time protection,
Right.
or even turn the security cameras against you.
Wow.
They can even use your security system to target other buildings in the network,
Oh,
spreading their influence.
So much for trusting the blinking security lights. This has been an eye-opening journey through the hidden depths of our computers. We've explored the rings, the strategies attackers use, and the links they go to maintain their control. It's a bit unnerving, to be honest.
It's definitely complex, but knowledge is power. By
Yeah.
understanding how these attacks work,
Right.
you're better equipped to protect yourself.
Absolutely. So for those of us who just want to browse the internet without worrying about digital booby traps, what are the key takeaways? Should we all become cybersecurity experts overnight?
While becoming a cybersecurity pro wouldn't hurt, the good news is that basic digital hygiene goes a long way.
Okay.
Think strong, unique passwords for all your accounts, two-factor authentication whenever possible,
Right.
being cautious about suspicious links and emails,
Yeah.
and keeping your software updated. It's like
Yeah.
making sure the doors and windows of your digital building are locked and the alarm system is on.
Basic security measures, but so important. It sounds like staying vigilant is vital in this constantly evolving digital landscape.
Absolutely. And if something seems off,
Right.
if your system starts acting strangely,
Yeah.
trust your instincts.
Yeah.
It might be nothing, but it could be a sign that something more is going on beneath the surface.
Always trust your gut. This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of operating system security rings. Been enlightening, if a tad frightening,
Sure.
to uncover the layers of complexity within our devices. A big thank you to our expert for guiding us through this fascinating, albeit slightly terrifying landscape.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, remember, knowledge is power. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe in that digital world out there. Until next time on The Deep Dive.